The following program may contain strong language and mature content. Viewer discretion is advised.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Daryl Walter Show. I am your host, Daryl Walter. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are watching from. Listen, do me a favor, click like, click share with everybody. This is episode number 4, and I am super excited. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Listen, real quick, it is day number 5. Go ahead and get rid of the Thanksgiving food, okay? I understand Auntie put a foot in the greens, okay? Mama made the best stuffing, dressing, whatever you call it, in her life. Put some of it in the freezer, and I wouldn't keep it in there too long either, but go ahead. It's time to let it go, okay? It's time to move forward, all right? Okay, how's everybody doing out there? Listen, let's get into it real quick. Let's cover what went viral because we have a lot to cover, and I want to get to our special guest. You can go ahead and bring it up, Kwame. What went viral? Okay, let's keep going. Listen, it's the show. What went viral? Thank you. Just want to cover really quick the American Music Awards happened this week, hosted by none other than Wayne Brady. And I'm just going to tell you, I didn't watch it. I started watching a little bit of it, and then I got to Kelly Rowland. And this picture became infamous. This is when she shushed the crowd because Chris Brown won Best R&B Album. Now, the interesting part with this moment here is that even though Chris Brown won an award, they canceled his whole entire 40th anniversary Thriller performance. They say it's because now Billboard issued a statement saying like, hey, things happen. It is what it is. But what I really think happened is that they're still holding it over Chris Brown's head, what happened between him and Rihanna. And I think they're still holding what happened or what allegedly happened with Michael Jackson, even though he's dead. And I think with this situation, y'all, it's time for us to separate the art from the person and just appreciate the art. I feel like American Music Awards is trying to erase some of our greatest music from the culture. And it's something that Kelly Rowland is calling out, and it's time for us to call it out. Okay, I'm just going to say that and leave it at that. But moving on to a better award show, the Soul Train Music Awards. Now let's talk about that. Now that brother right there, Duran Bernard. That is next. That brother did the Soul Cypher justice. Let me just say this is the best Soul Train Awards I have seen in a very, very, very long time. And if you do not know who this young man is, Google him and watch that cypher. He was singing through his teeth. Now, the awards was amazing. Everything was wonderful. Summer Walker, all the performances, the host, Dion Cole was absolutely amazing. But let me tell you who stole the show real quick. Go on, bring up Shantae Moore. This beautiful woman stole the entire show. I'm going to say this respectfully. These young new artists need to take note, okay? They need to take note and be aware of how it is done. She killed it. She did the whistle notes. I barely remember the other performances. The only other performance I remember is Escape. Now, Escape, allegedly during this performance and this acceptance speech, they weren't even talking. Okay? You can see the way Latasha is looking at everybody, and the other one on the other side with the burgundy hair, that is Latasha's sister. She's just looking the other way. They're just not talking right now. Allegedly, according to Latasha, she's saying that the promoter of one of the tours that they were on, threatened her husband's life. This is the same promoter her husband brought on. Now, the real truth is, Latasha, bring her up on to that beautiful outfit. Gorgeous. Don't she look good? Don't she look good? Latasha signed with Motown Gospel last year. She's been working on a gospel solo album that's going to be released in 2023. Now, in my humble opinion, how you're doing a gospel album and being messy and causing discourse, I don't get it. But either way, she's coming out with the album 2023. And go back to Escape really quick. I really hope they work it out. There's no true lead singer in this group. Latasha is amazing. But don't, for 1 second, forget about Tamika and Tiny. And Candy is the Jackie of the group, okay? She's going to hold it together. I don't know. What do y'all think? Tap in the comments below. Let me know. Let's just move forward. I'm done with it. Let's move forward. Speaking of gospel, let's get to our main guest. The wonderful, amazing, all of you know her as the ad-lib queen and the one who loves you. All of my guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Lillian Lloyd. Hello, welcome. Can you hear me? Oh, you're on mute. Click your unmute button. Unmute.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Listen, I was rushing through because I wanted to get straight to you. So I was like, listen, Escape, AMAs, this was going on. This was happening.
I said, he said I got about 15 minutes. I'm going to go put a piece of chicken in my mouth.
I'm sorry. I said 10 to 15 minutes and I cut it a little short because I am beyond excited. I am honored. I'm beside myself to have you on the show because honestly, I've been a fan for years. I think you are refreshing. I think you're amazing. I got to dote on you a little bit. I had a chance. I've seen you live a few times, and even outside of gospel, which we'll get to that. We're gonna get to that. You be singing.
Thank you.
And everybody knows you for the most icon. It's an iconic song at this point. Because let me tell you, when a drag queen performs your song, you'd have made it.
It's a high honor.
You'd have made it. Yeah. So let's just start right there because I was going to start somewhere else. So the reason I hit you up, I'm at the, I love a good drag brunch. I love a good drag brunch. And this one was a gospel edition, right? So I'm enjoying my drag brunch and I see this performance of One More Chance, right? I'm like, that is so, I felt it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna tag her in this video and just like, I don't know, like, what do you think?
What city were you in?
I was in Vegas. I was in Las Vegas.
Are you serious?
I'm here in Vegas. Yeah, I was here in Vegas. Yeah.
So the show's in Vegas. Wow, that's crazy.
Every Sunday. And I want to know, what did you think the first time you saw? Have you seen someone perform your song in drag? And what was your initial reaction?
I cried. I cried because I was so deeply moved. I grew up in Atlanta, and in the '90s, we spent a lot of time in that ballroom scene
Mhm.
and going to the drag shows and going to the clubs every weekend just to see the performances and such. So that that whole vibe was just something we were just super into at that time. It's like you got the community choir scene, but a lot of the community choir kids, they were club goers too. And we
Right,
love
right,
house
right.
music and techno and such. So we would go, which is where the line, he could have, cut me off while I was in the discotheque. One of the ad libs, comes from that because we spent a lot of time. We would be in the clubs till late in the morning. There was a club in Atlanta called the Marquette. And I spent a lot of time at the Marquette on the weekends, and we would be in there until the sun came up. And so there was always lip syncing and drag shows and such. And I noticed that all of the performers would always either mimic Patti LaBelle or Whitney Houston or some iconic level artist. And
Mhm.
so fast forward 20 years, I record One More Chance. And then the next thing I know, I'm getting tagged in drag queens doing One More Chance in the clubs.
Mhm.
And I'm like, Lillian, do you know what this means? That they esteem you on the same level as the Patti LaBelles, the Diana Rosses, and all these
Yeah.
other beautiful, gorgeous people that they aspire to be. And this isn't just, oh, we're having a good time. This isn't putting on the hits. These kids are snagging trophies for their
Yeah.
house.
Oh
And
yeah.
so you snagging trophies in my name. That's beautiful. And one of my babies, he passed away, unfortunately, in Atlanta, but he would perform it at a club, and he would just get like loads of money. They were like, honey, he has bought a house off the money he's made doing these shows. And I'm like, wow, that is crazy. But he would come to our church on Sunday night and just sing. There were several of them that would come to our church on Sunday night just to watch me sing because they just
Yeah.
live for the hair, they live for the makeup and the lashes and all the theatrics and such that come with my own, display.
Right.
And so it's an honor. Like people say, oh, you should be outraged. And they were making a mockery of the Holy Spirit. They're making a mockery of ministry. I'm like, no, they're really not. They're taking
So
the gospel into a place where it wouldn't otherwise go.
and that's what I love about you. Like I'm a very observant person,
Mm-hmm.
and one thing that I've observed about you is that you are willing to go to a lot of places a lot of other gospel artists are not willing to go,
Yeah.
and you're willing to associate um, with groups that other people are not willing to. I know recently a good friend of mine, Pastor Kurt, you sang at his church.
Yes, I'm going back to him in a couple weeks.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, do you get a hard time from your colleagues?
Initially, there was some eyebrows raised, but now I think people are a lot more they're more accepting, they're a lot more tolerant, a lot more understanding.
Hmm.
You always have to have the one person that's willing to go do it, and then everybody else says, "Oh, I guess it's okay," and I'll
Hmm.
go over too, and I'll see. But I don't want to end up on social media on a dartboard for people to start flinging, accusations or flinging uh, remarks, about me and questioning my salvation or questioning my walk with Christ because of the differing religious viewpoints. But there's really not a lot of differing religious viewpoints. It's just one or two. And but I think that if we can all just stand on the common beliefs that we have, and that is that for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever would believe upon him should not perish but have everlasting life. And we could just lock into that. And he
Hmm.
didn't send his son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. I want to focus more on the world being saved, not on the world going to hell. And
Mm.
we're so hell bent on sending people to hell, and I don't know what that comes from. Why is it so important to you to see people go to hell? During the AIDS epidemic back in the early 80s into the late 90s, when it was at its peak, when we were losing people every week, just scores
Hmm.
and scores of people were dying. It was a very scary time, and a lot of my friends were dying. A lot of popular gospel artists were dying, and we just, where was this thing going to end? How many of us are there going to be left? At this point, like it was just really crazy.
Yeah.
And so during that time, you had people that were literally walking around with signs saying, "Well, the good thing about all this is all the sodomites are going to hell." Like,
Mhm.
yikes! That's somebody's son. That's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's relative. Why are you? That's not Jesus. Do you think that sounds like God? Does that sound like God or the devil? Who would take delight in death? Who takes delight in watching somebody? My baby brother Danny, when he passed away, he was 65 pounds. He basically wasted weight. Ooh.
I knew it was gonna happen. We're gonna get through this.
So many of my friends till I lost count.
Yeah.
That's why when Pose came out, and I have to give a shout out to Billy Porter for the way he nailed Pose. He nailed it. Doggone it. He nailed it. And I'm like, I literally found myself reliving that part of my life, just those years of just week after week going to funerals, week after week getting, oh God, did you hear Lil? And they always used to come to me like, Lillian, who gonna tell her? I'm not telling her, you know, because they know I was going, it was gonna be one of those things, because I hold everybody so near and dear. Whenever I come on my live, I always introduce myself as the ad-lib queen, the one that loves you, the queen, the one that loves you. I am indeed the one that loves you, and I really am the one that loves you. And I have always been the person of my friends that whenever they would find out that they were HIV positive, they would call me before they called their parents. They would tell me before they told their partners. You know, it was always I was always the first call, you know, or among the first to know that they had tested positive for HIV, because they knew they could trust me not to judge, not to run away, not to, oh God, there's a sore, or there's a lesion, I can't touch you. No, I'm coming. I'm going to be at that hospital. I'll be there holding your hand when you take that last breath. I'll spoon feed you. I did the boost and the Ensure feedings and the, you know, caregiving and all of that. And I know what that looks like. I know what it smells like. I know what it feels like. And, the night sweats and the helping change bed sheets that are being soaked with sweat over the night. And it's just a lot. It's just a lot. It's a lot.
This interview, this is going to be so good.
It's a lot.
So first I want to ask, why do you think the gays love you so much?
Because I love them so much. Unapologetically, I love them so much. And I'm acquainted with the struggle. I'm acquainted with the rejection. I'm acquainted with all of that. So I know what it feels like to have someone to ridicule you and call you names, to openly insult you, to say rude, cruel, harsh. I've had the slurs thrown at me.
Okay.
I've had the slurs thrown at me.
So I want to read this to you. Okay. Sorry to cut you off. I apologize, but I want to read this to you and tell me if you know where this came from.
Uh-oh.
Women all over the world wake up every morning to begin their day with the grueling task of putting her best face forward. Any real woman wants to look her best before she faces her public, be it a schoolgirl headed to a first day of junior high or an attorney off to court to try a case. Women want to be pleasing to the eye. Being a connoisseur of cosmetics, I often laugh aloud when I think of all that I put my hair and face through just to be happy with my appearance.
It's a time. Oh, God. That's one of my chapters from My Two Cents. Is it The Skin I'm In, or what was the other? It was
Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman, yeah.
Pretty Woman. I'll pull it all together.
About my bout with eczema that I had as a child.
Okay. You know, I feel like one of the reasons I'll say we love you is the drag, the hair, the makeup, the lashes. Absolutely. You know, reading this passage, because you wrote this book
2013, I believe.
2013.
Uh-huh.
Are you happy with your appearance today?
Nope. I'm happy with who I am inside. There are some external things. You can always improve the external, but I'm not a fanatic. I'm not, oh God, I need to spend $10,000 lifting my chin. I don't really have a problem with my face necessarily. It's the rest of me. Because I had a drastic weight loss, and so that left some stuff kind of disheveled a little bit.
Listen, the men love a little shuffle.
Yeah. But you got that shuffle in the wrong spot. That shuffle is in the front. It needs to be in the back. It's in the wrong
It's a man that will help you get that from the front to the back. That's a whole nother show. I'm just saying.
Absolutely. I just recently did a podcast about it, about surgery shaming, because we have to stop people from, thinking that it's their duty and their mission in life to scold people and correct people for wanting to do things to improve their physical appearance. I feel like whatever you need to do to get yourself to the place that makes you happy with you, then you should do that within means, within reason. Of course, there's one lady, I think she spent over 6 figures, making improvements and making adjustments. Every little nick. I don't believe in that. I'm not a fanatic, but getting a tummy tuck, getting a butt lift, getting your breasts done, those type things within reason. Who cares? Why do you care what somebody else is doing to their body? How is that affecting you?
Do you feel like there's pressure from even though you're singing a message about salvation and hallelujah, is there pressure from being in the gospel industry and being in the forefront? Because I'll be honest, one of my things is why do people love seeing women shout in high heels? Where did that come from? It's like people love it, and it's like
people find it sexy.
Let's go
people
there.
Find it sexy. I'm gonna tell you, so you got the right one.
Let's talk about it.
You got the right one today.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed that when people make praise break videos, it's always from the back? Have you noticed that? They'll zero in on somebody's butt while they're jumping. See, church people have things that turn them on too. See, go on and take a sip.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Okay, so there's the sexy for Jesus saints, but the people, they find it sexy.
It's a turn on. It's a turn on. That's how men meet their wives in church, dancing in the choir stand, or I remember a musician friend of mine. I won't call his name, but
okay,
his wife was praising God or whatever, and he was like she said something. He's like, I was just watching your booty while you shout. And it was so fun.
Okay, but let's pause right here because I have a friend in the industry, and she said, Daryl, she said, why a lot of people sleep together in the industry? Because you're talking about artists and creating. Yeah. And when people are in that mode, there's a lot of all of that emotion flowing out. Sexual juice is what I want to say. Yeah. I don't know if I can say that during the day. But to think about that in the gospel realm, Can you explain that, Evangelist? And can you make that make sense? Is that appropriate? Is what it is? Do you have to watch out for it? What goes on with that? Because you think if you're shouting in church, right, praising the Lord,
they're still human beings shouting in church, and
it's sexy.
They're having a spiritual experience, most of them, and a lot of people ain't have no spiritual experience. They're just dancing to a beat.
Right. Yeah.
A bear will dance if you play the music. A dog will jump if you play music. A dolphin will bob his head if you play music. So just because somebody's in church dancing, people can have sex in church.
I mean, we've seen it on the videos that have gone viral.
Yeah. People masturbate in church. So being a church is literally just a building. And although it is disrespectful to do anything, if you can't do it in the sanctuary during service, you shouldn't be doing it in the sanctuary at all. It shouldn't be happening in the house of God. Not just, people have been violated in church buildings because people have no reverence or no respect for the house of God. That I am not in favor of at all. And although I have had my conversations in times past, I've had my indiscretions in times past in those areas when I was a teenager, when I was much younger, of course, when I wasn't mature, but you live and you learn. But those things are still happening. This isn't news. Those things are still happening. And what happens now is everybody wants to live in denial and pretend that things aren't happening. And if we ignore it, it'll go away. No, it's not going to go away. It's going to keep growing because these things are being fed and they're being fostered and they're continuing. Nobody ever talks about it, so it can't be exposed. If you can't expose it, you can't extract it. If you can't extract it, you can't eliminate it. So you have to isolate it, extract it, and that whole nine. So isolate it, expose it, and extract it. So if you don't do those 3 things, then you'll never. It will always continue to happen. But we're human beings. We are sexual beings. We were given our sexual desires from God. He created our bodies. He created our nipples to be sensitive. He created your genitalia to receive stimulation when it is touched, when it is kissed, when it is stroked. He created that. That was his idea. That wasn't
Yeah.
our idea. That was happening before we got here.
You
And
better
so
come on my show
we're
and
afraid of
preach.
that. We're afraid of that. And so we don't want to put that on God. And we're like, oh, it's gross. Oh, it's ugly. So when you read further into my book, into chapter 8, and when I start delving into some of the other explicit sides of my life, the people go, oh my God, I can't believe she said that. And then I just got ridiculed and dragged through the mud about the book. I'm like, you didn't even read the book. You saw the word breast, you saw the word nipple, and you lost your mind. And it's your human body part. God created.
I'm definitely going to read the book, but the little bit that I read, I just find you so fascinating, just your story from the beginning, which we will get into after this commercial break. Y'all make sure you share this. I'm talking to the ad-lib queen, the one who loves you, Lillian Lloyd. I almost said the one who mother freaking loves you. Sorry, Lillian. I didn't mean that. But, she loves you. All right, we'll be back in a couple of minutes. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Daryl Walter Show. And I have my beautiful, amazing guest, Lillian, ad-lib queen, the one who loves you, Lloyd. Lillian, as we were talking, as I said, I read your book and I found you just so fascinating. One thing I kind of feel like we have in common, yours is a little more than mine, is that your parents had you later in life. And you are the youngest of 11 kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I always say to people, I present as an only child because my brother is 10 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
How did that shape you? Because I feel like, did that bring you closer to God? Were you closer to your parents? like what shaped this evangelist Lillian Lloyd today?
Well, being a part of a huge family and having that older parents, to me, played a huge role in who I am, because I was always wise beyond my years.
Yeah.
Even as a young kid, older people, adults would confide in me when I was just a teenager, and they would sit and talk about their problems with me. And I'm like, why are these people doing this? Why do I know these things? Why am I being made privy to these conversations? Because they just felt safe to share certain things with me. Even when I was a kid, my father, I remember when I was in second grade, my dad was 65 when I was in second grade. So imagine having a grandfather age father when you're just a little kid, you're 6 or 7 years old, and you have this, and everybody else's father is in their, in their 20s, in their early 20s for some of them. And I was the only kid that had a senior citizen for a father, but I grew up hearing very stimulating, very intelligent conversation. I grew up hearing pastors and leaders having conversation in our home. And those talks that were had a great deal of influence on what I was interested in. So while when I was in kindergarten, the teacher thought I was slow because I couldn't skip, I couldn't skate, I couldn't jump rope, I couldn't do any of those things. I said, well, I was rehearsing Lynette Hawkins. I was working on my solo. I was an outside.
I don't have time for this.
Bouncing around. I was in the mirror trying to work on my performance. Still my thing. I was lip syncing. I was planning my shows. I was a little kid. And so my interest wasn't in those things. I didn't play with toys much. We didn't do that. So I was more interested in, playing air guitar and listening to records and such. Yeah. So,
Is that where you developed? Is that where you developed your love for music?
Absolutely.
And your love for singing?
Absolutely. And having older brothers, they had the music they were into. Like my oldest brother, they were into Johnny Mathis and things like that.
Oh, wow.
And I wasn't raised with them, but I know that was some of their musical interests, and in the Motown era. And then my brothers that I was raised in the house with, my brother Jeffrey, right now he's 62 years old, 63, I think. He'll be 63 in January, if I'm not mistaken, 63, 64, something like that. My sister Julie's 65. And so he should be 64, 63, 64, somewhere in there, 60s. At any rate, so he was into Parliament Funkadelic, he was into the Gap Band, he was into Confunction and all those things. So that's where I got into the funk, listening to that, Brothers Johnson and all that stuff. And then my brother Richard, he was a little younger than him, but still much older than me. He's like 8 years older than me. So he was a DJ. So he was into Kool Moe Dee and Run DMC and Fat Boys and all that stuff. And of course, R&B was big, New Edition, Bobby Brown, all those things. My brother Clint was into Prince, and that's where my love for Prince came from. So it was just a lot of different sounds. Mm-hmm. In our house, my brother Craig, he was in the military, so when he came back from Germany, I got into the white rock bands. Yeah, because that's a lot of what they were listening to over there. So it just became a thing, just having all these different sounds going on. So I would go from, my mom and my sister's records were James Cleveland and Thomas Whitfield and, the Clark sisters and all those records, Dr. Mattie Moss Clark and all those things were going on. And then I went from that, into the Mother's Finest, Funkadelic. It's just a number of different things that were happening in there musically. So I latched onto all of it.
I'm so excited. We have 10 minutes left. I'm going to squeeze everything in. I want to ask you really quick. I had a chance to see you live earlier this year. You had your birthday concert.
Yes.
Amazing music.
Thank you.
My favorite song that you did was Simply the Best.
Wow.
I was like, I was like, that was, but you're a lot of people don't realize how versatile you are. And a lot of my singing friends that I know, I'm like, people get boxed into, like, do you ever feel like you get boxed into the One More Chance category?
Absolutely.
Like for me, my favorite song, I just want to say this to you. My favorite song is Stay With God. Like that's in my workout list. Like that goes hard. But do you ever feel like I want to sing a slow song, or I want to, which I've heard you do a lot of different things, but it's like, well, put me in this. Can we expect more stuff outside of One More Chance in the future?
Absolutely. Okay. We're working on things now. I've always been more rock, metal. I like a lot of drums. I like a lot of percussion. I like a lot of horns, and I am a guitar fanatic. I love guitar. And so that's why my MD, most people that travel with their musical directors, they're an organist or a keyboard player, but my MD, As a guitarist.
Yeah. No,
As a black rock star.
Yeah. You bleed rock soul.
Oh,
I just it's all
absolutely.
in you. So
Yeah.
as we end this interview, and I want to thank you so much for being a part of this. I would look forward
Thank
to
you for
having you
having
again.
me.
Absolutely. Now, y'all, I asked Lillian to play a game, and she was like, mm-mm. And I explained the game to her. So let me just say, I'm probably the only person that she's going to play a game with. All your other people out there, it ain't going to happen. Okay, let me just throw that out there. Okay, it's called favor. Okay, don't be mad at me, be mad at your grandmama. Let's go. Rapid. So the game rapid fire, right? We're going to bring up a picture. 5 seconds, first 3 words that come to you. Hold on 1 second. Let me get my timer. All right.
And I hope I know who these people are.
You will. You will. You will. You ready? First picture. Let's go.
Oh my God. My heartbeat. My muse.
Okay. Your muse.
That is my muse.
Really?
Absolutely.
Why?
Oh my God. He's everything musical.
I mean, he is everything. Yeah.
He is the living embodiment of music. And I just told somebody today that he is the only person that when I get in the studio with B Slade that that was my brother. First of all, I think that's the first word I should say. He's my brother. But musically, he is everything. And he's just like, we're like musical soulmates. He really understands me. He gets me. And the songs that he's written, that he submitted to me, y'all ain't even ready. I'm just gonna let you know right now. He's got about we started about 4 songs already.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you telling me you recorded some songs for your project with B Slade?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much. You heard it here. All right. Let's go to the next picture.
Uh-huh.
Got my spirit excited. Okay, first 3 words.
Yeah. What's the next one? She's a preacher.
Next one. Next 3 words.
Dr. Kevin Bond, one of my best friends in the world. Let's see. So friend, brother, confidant, comedian.
He is funny. I see.
Praiser. That is the main word. He's a praiser. He's a big encourager. And we have been friends for many, many years. And I just love him. Everything about him.
All right. Next picture. Let's go.
Who is that? I can't see.
Kim Burrell.
That's Kim Burrell. Vocal ninja. Lyrical assassin. Lyrical scientist. She's that chick.
You know what? I'm gonna pause right here. I had some choice words for Kim Burrell, and I've been thinking about this, and I'm gonna say this publicly, and I'm gonna get some backlash for it. I think she needs to be uncanceled.
Uncanceled, you said? Yeah.
Yeah, I really think she needs to be forgiven. I that's all I'll say on it. The gays is gonna come for me, but I think she needs to be forgiven. I'll say that. Okay, go ahead.
People have a right to feel how they feel. And I think that's one thing that every community needs to understand. Yeah. People don't have to like you.
Yeah.
People don't have to accept you. People don't have to love you. That should not stop you from loving yourself and being who you are.
Yeah.
If you are gay, if you are straight, if you are undecided, if you are both, if you are bisexual, whatever, wherever you fall, be who you are and be true to that, because that is who you are. Not because somebody likes it, somebody agrees with it, somebody accepts it, somebody waves the flag for you. Who cares? Why do you care if somebody likes you? Why do you care if somebody agrees with you? That's the real question you need to ask yourself. Because if this really is who you are, it should not matter. Be that unapologetically. And if somebody doesn't agree with it, they have a right not to agree with it. They have a right not to see things your way. People have a human right not to see things your way. Get over yourself and just be who you are. Get over yourself. Don't think that the whole world has to go along with you in order for you to be so, we got to cancel them because they don't like us. Or we got to go away from this because if they don't like you, then don't you like them and move on. And keep being you. The sun ain't going to stop shining because you don't like the sun. The sun is still the sun. I'm still here. You're not liking me doesn't make me disappear. I just made a post the other day. You can treat me like I'm invisible every day, but that doesn't mean I'm going to disappear. Because you treat me like I'm invisible, I'm not going anywhere.
You just preached the whole entire word, and I'm just
going to say
next picture. Next picture.
There's that.
There's that.
That's my pops. That's my heart. That is my heart. That is my heart. That's my boss. And we have a connection like none other. Absolutely. He
So
is
what?
the choir master.
He is the choir
He
master,
is
and like,
indeed the choir master.
I,
Everything
have.
you hear now, he
Mhm.
started it. These sounds, these choirs that's out here now killing it, that think they can outsing New G. How you gonna outsing us and you mimicking us? How?
I,
How?
I
You
saw you
learned
the
that
other
from us.
day. Yeah.
You
No,
learned
I
that
saw
from
you
us.
the other day, and you were doing I Got the Victory, and you went higher than the original note. You went higher.
B Slade
That's,
taught me that.
thank you, B Slade.
Thank you, B
Thank you.
Slade. Just like accessing more of that range and how to just kind of reach up there and bend it. I learned
Okay.
that from him. Mhm.
All right. Last couple of questions. Um, what's one thing you're misunderstood about?
So my
What?
love for all people and my love for all music. Because people
Mm,
think if you're saved, then you should have one idea about life. You should have one voice, one doctrine, one belief, one set of everything. And if you are a gospel singer, then you should only sing gospel and you should only sing traditional gospel because that's what you're most popular for. To both of that. Because the world isn't as black and white as we try to make it.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
there are so many layers to God and godness and godliness. There's layers to that.
Mm,
And again, if he does not desire for men to perish, but that the world through him might be saved, then that has to include everybody. See, here's the deal, and this is what I teach. We're all corruptible,
mm.
and that's why we have to be changed. So the Bible says that when he appears, we're going to be changed like him. This flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. So when he appears, this mortal will put on immortality. This corruptible will put on incorruption.
All right.
So a sex change, a an alteration to any of that. Once the Holy Spirit comes with inside that being, that spirit is what's going to inherit the kingdom of God, not the
Mm.
flesh. There will be none married or given in marriage in heaven. Marriage is for this side. That ain't for over there.
Okay, you dropped like some
Y'all trying to take
bombs.
earth business. Y'all trying to take earth business into heaven. Earth business ain't none of this earth stuff going to heaven. Oh, we got into something we can't get out of right now. So that's what I misunderstood about my stance on that.
Mm.
And so it's hard to get into that without getting in trouble. And I get attacked, but I'm all right. I'm a big girl. I can handle it.
You know what? I think what and we're coming to a close. I feel like my interviewing. I could talk to people for hours and just go 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 go
Look, I
go.
got all night. I'm good.
But there's another show coming on. But I would love to have you on the future. We
Sure.
can talk about like women in gospel music. There's so much.
Sure.
One you can talk. You're amazing and you're so cool. As we close, I'm gonna give you the 60 seconds to the floor. People who are watching this live, people who are going to watch this on the replay. There's so many people who want to be like you and ad libbing. And there's just, today's Wednesday. There's so many people just out there that need some type of encouragement. You know, what does the one who loves them say?
The one that loves you says that, first of all, every day when you wake up, understand that you are fearfully and wonderfully made by God. And that nothing that anybody says to you, says about you, says against you can stop you from being everything God says that you are. You are absolutely amazing. You are absolutely necessary. You are absolutely significant. You are significant just as you are. You don't have to go above and beyond the call of duty trying to prove that. And I think that's what makes people annoying sometimes, is because it seems like they're just trying too hard to prove it. And you don't have to try so hard. Just be what is naturally you, what is most comfortably you. Just be that. You believe in that essence, that most organic piece of yourself. You believe in that wholeheartedly and walk in that with all fervor and all intensity. Keeping God first, treating people with all kindness and respect that is owed to them, to any human being. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Engage with people the way you want to be engaged with. Handle people the way you want to be handled. And those things will come back to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lillian Lloyd. Everybody, I want to thank y'all so much for tuning into the Daryl Walter Show. I'm full of emotion right now because I feel like, one, I'm going somewhere. You know, this show is going to go somewhere, and I feel like this show is going to help and bless so many people. And I'm just glad to be a part of it. So on that note, thank y'all so very much. I will see you next Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yay.
I love y'all. Peace.